Hey everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, that website address is theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Send your questions to Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. It may take me a while because I've been getting so many, but I will eventually get back to you, maybe through a video like this one today, and I will keep you anonymous unless you specifically ask that you give you a shout out. Otherwise, you will be completely anonymous. And today's email is from someone who shall remain anonymous. She used to work for an ethics committee, which is also known as an IRB, and she wants to start a consulting company where she helps research clinics, research sites submit the initial regulatory documents to the ethics committees, and also if those research clinics would like, her consulting company could help any ongoing study submissions that are required to go to the ethics committees. So for those of you who don't know, ethics committees are IRBs, institutional review boards. Every single clinical trial that's being conducted must have an independent ethics committee review the study before it starts and on an ongoing basis to make sure that the clinical trial that they're in charge of overseeing ethics for is being conducted in an ethical manner, and that study participants are being kept as safe as possible. Now, it's very important to understand here that these ethics committees do not guarantee safety for the study participants. After all, that's why clinical trials are being done in the first place, is to test whether the drug is safe. The drug may very well not be safe, and clinical trials can still be done. But the point of an ethics committee is to make sure that the risks do not outweigh the benefits of a clinical trial for any study participant. And this could be a tricky area. Definitely a lot of gray area. There's some oncology trials where there are risks. I mean, the risk is death, but the benefits could be your cancer might be gone. There's also those phase 1 healthy volunteer studies where there's tons of risks. I mean, you can get side effects. The reason these phase 1 trials are done on healthy volunteers is to measure at what level the drug will start showing some kind of toxicity in a human being. So how does an ethics committee oversee that? And how do they outweigh the risks and the benefits for a study participant? So these are tricky areas. Needless to say, every clinical trial needs an ethics committee. It's very important to note that the ethics committee is an independent entity, completely independent from the drug company, completely independent from the research sites. So this person wants to have a consulting company where she helps research clinics submit paperwork to the IRB. And for those of you who want to know more about local IRB versus central IRBs, I mean, I can make a whole video just about that. But basically, central IRBs are the ones that the sponsors choose for the research sites that are able to use central IRBs, so they kind of streamline the whole process. Where I think your company may fit, and you being the individual who asked me this question about setting up this consulting company, is for research clinics, especially universities, that have to use local IRBs. So that is a very, very painful thing to deal with when it comes to using local IRBs, because they're not as streamlined as central IRBs. They require a lot more things. They have their own rules separate from the central IRBs, who kind of have everything in order. They kind of have processes for everything. Local IRBs may request all kinds of different things, and these submissions can take forever. And before the trial even begins, the submissions can take quite a long time. And then during the trial, they can maybe not approve protocols when the sponsor makes an amendment to a protocol as quickly as a central IRB. So then what is the research clinic supposed to do at that point? They're supposed to stop the study because their protocol amendment has not been approved for their site. So I think that your company can have a really good chance of providing some real value for those clinics that are using local IRBs and the clinics that are forced to use local IRBs. Like I said, mostly universities and hospitals. So that would be, if I were you, that would be my target market, because the central IRBs, and I run several research clinics, there's not really any problem submitting any documents, whether it's from a study startup or from an ongoing documents that you're submitting while the trial's ongoing. It's pretty simple. You just fax, email, amendments get approved. It's in fact, if you're using a central IRB, the sponsor submits most of those documents to the IRB, so the research clinic doesn't even have to worry about that as much. So I don't think you have a market for the private clinics that use central IRBs, but you definitely have a strong business opportunity if you can make life easier for the research companies that are forced to use local IRBs. So definitely I would target those first. Don't even waste your time with the central IRBs because they won't pay you. But the local IRBs, the sites that are forced to use the local IRBs, you have a strong chance of, if you can provide value, to help them out. I had a PI recently reach out to me. She usually deals with central IRBs, but for this one particular study, she was forced to use a local IRB because the sponsor did not have a central IRB. So any site who wanted to participate in the study had to use a local IRB, and they used one, and it was a disaster. As anyone who does research knows, any clinical trial goes through many different protocol amendments throughout the course of the trial. It's not unusual to see 3, 4, 5, even more protocol amendments. Well, these local IRBs, they don't always approve these amendments, and they don't always approve them in a timely manner, and therefore they don't approve informed consent forms each time an amendment is passed. You're supposed to have an updated informed consent. Well, in the case of this person's local IRB, they were not wanting to approve the amendment for whatever reason, and the site continued to conduct the clinical trial activity because the sponsor requested that they follow the protocol amendment, but the amendment wasn't approved, so it caused a bunch of, it was basically a disaster according to what this PI was telling me, and all because things were not getting sent to the IRB, to the local IRB, in a timely manner. The IRB was not responding to the site in a timely manner. So I think your company can find a niche there. I think the $1,500 startup fee is too low for you if you're going to start this company. You should request $5,000 startup fee, especially if they're using the local IRBs. You should ask for more. These IRBs are not cheap. Luckily, with central IRBs, the sites don't have to worry about that. Hopefully this helps. I don't know if it does. It's kind of a tricky question, and there's a lot of issues here, but I'd say go for it. Your target market should be research clinics such as universities and hospitals that have no choice other than to use a local IRB. Let me know if this helps. It's Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. A quick shout out to my Clinical Trial Guru producers. It's Sarah Elizabeth Siegler, Resolve Research Solutions, Accurate Clinical Trials, Erdhart Clinical Trials, PTNR, Patrick Stone, Darshan Kulkarni, Biopharm Systems, Zymeware, Mozio, South Coast Clinical Trials, Breakthrough Clinical Trials, and St. Paul Medical Research Center in Miami, Florida. Let me know if you have any other questions, and get back to me. Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.